In a quiet corner of rural Montana, where long highways stretched endlessly and small towns blended into the landscape, lived a young woman named Lily Harper.
Of course, here you go.
She had grown up in the same town where everyone knew everyone, and where labels stuck like dust on old boots. Lily's label was simple and cruel, plain. People didn't say it loudly, but she heard it in the pauses, the sideways glances, and the way conversations drifted past her as if she wasn't there. She worked at a modest roadside diner just off the highway, pouring coffee, wiping counters, and smiling politely at customers who barely noticed her. Lily had learned early how to make herself small. She wore simple clothes, kept her hair tied back, and avoided attention. Compliments felt unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable. Whenever someone laughed nearby, she assumed it was about her. The mirror in her tiny rented room showed a face she had been taught to overlook, soft features, tired eyes, and a quiet sadness she tried hard to hide. Life moved forward, day after day, without surprises, and Lily believed this was all it would ever be. One winter evening, snow began falling heavily, coating the road in white. The diner was nearly empty when a tall man stepped inside, shaking snow from his coat. He looked different from the usual customers, calm, grounded, with the steady presence of someone used to wide-open spaces. His name was Ethan Cole, a rancher who owned land just outside town. He took a seat by the window and ordered coffee. Lily brought it over without looking up, already prepared for indifference. But Ethan noticed her, not in the way men sometimes stared, but in a quiet, thoughtful way. He saw how carefully she held the mug, how she asked if he needed anything else, how her voice softened when she spoke. There was something genuine about her kindness, something unpolished but real. When she thanked him for stopping by, he smiled and said, "It's a warm place on a cold night." Their brief exchange stayed with Ethan long after he left. And for Lily, that moment lingered too, because for the first time in a long while, someone had looked at her as if she mattered. Not as background, not as invisible, just seen. As the snow continued to fall outside, Lily returned to cleaning tables, unaware that something had quietly shifted. She didn't know that one ordinary evening had marked the beginning of a change she never expected. In a town that had taught her she was forgettable, someone had finally paused, and chosen to look again. Ethan began returning to the diner more often than necessary. At first, Lily assumed it was coincidence, ranchers passed through all the time. But soon, she noticed a pattern. Every few days, usually near closing time, Ethan would sit at the same booth by the window and order the same black coffee. He never rushed. He never spoke loudly. And most importantly, he always looked at Lily when she spoke, as if her words deserved his full attention. Their conversation started small. He asked how long she had worked there. She asked about the weather on the ranch. Over time, those simple exchanges grew into something deeper. Ethan talked about early mornings, frozen fences, and the quiet comfort of wide fields. Lily spoke about growing up in town, losing her parents young, and learning how to survive by staying unnoticed. She didn't plan to say those things, they just slipped out, carried by a sense of safety she wasn't used to feeling. One evening, as Lily refilled his cup, Ethan noticed the way her hands trembled slightly. "Long day?" he asked gently. She nodded. Without thinking, she said, "Some days feel heavier than others." Ethan didn't try to fix it. He simply listened. That alone felt rare. Word traveled fast in small towns. People noticed Ethan's regular visits. A few coworkers whispered, confused by his interest. Lily heard comments she pretended not to hear. "What does he see in her?" someone muttered once. The word stung, reopening old wounds. That night, Lily almost avoided Ethan, afraid her presence embarrassed him. But Ethan sensed the shift. When Lily finally admitted what she had overheard, her voice was barely above a whisper. "People say I'm too plain," she said, eyes fixed on the counter. "I don't blame them." Ethan looked at her carefully, as if choosing his words with intention. "Plain doesn't mean empty," he said. "It means honest, real, and that's something most people don't bother to see." Those words settled deep in Lily's chest. No one had ever reframed her label before. She went home that night replaying his voice in her mind. For the first time, the word plain didn't feel like a verdict, it felt like a misunderstanding. As weeks passed, winter tightened its grip on the town. Snowstorms came and went, and with each visit, Ethan and Lily grew more comfortable around each other. He never crossed boundaries, never rushed her. His respect was quiet, steady, and consistent. Lily found herself smiling more, standing a little straighter, speaking a little louder. She didn't realize it yet, but something inside her was waking up, something that had been asleep for years. And Ethan, watching her slowly open, knew one thing with certainty: the beauty others missed was becoming impossible to ignore. By the time February arrived, the cold had settled deep into the land, but something warmer had begun to grow between Lily and Ethan. Their conversations no longer felt careful or hesitant. There was an ease now, a shared silence that didn't need to be filled, a comfort that made time pass unnoticed. Lily found herself looking forward to Ethan's visits more than she wanted to admit. They became the brightest moments in her otherwise predictable days. One afternoon, after the diner closed early due to a snowstorm, Ethan waited outside while Lily locked the door. "I was heading back to the ranch," he said, his breath visible in the cold air. "Would you like to come with me? Just for a bit?" Lily hesitated. She had never visited a ranch before, never stepped outside the boundaries of town life. But something in Ethan's calm smile made her nod yes. The drive was quiet, the road lined with snow-covered fields and bare trees. When they arrived, Lily was struck by the openness of the place. The ranch felt alive yet peaceful, wooden barns standing strong against the wind, horses shifting softly in their stalls, and the vast sky stretching endlessly overhead. For the first time in a long while, Lily felt small in a way that wasn't painful, but freeing. Inside the ranch house, warmth wrapped around her. A fire crackled in the fireplace, and the scent of coffee lingered in the air. Ethan showed her around, never rushing, never assuming. Lily laughed when one of the horses nudged her shoulder, surprised by her own reaction. Ethan watched her closely, noticing how her guarded expression slowly softened. Sitting by the fire, Lily spoke more openly than she ever had. She talked about how being ignored had shaped her, how she had learned to expect little from people so she wouldn't be disappointed. "It's easier to disappear," she admitted quietly. Ethan listened, his gaze steady. "But disappearing doesn't mean you don't exist," he said. "It just means no one took the time to look." Those words stayed with her as she helped him prepare a simple meal. The ordinary act felt meaningful, as if she belonged there. For once, Lily wasn't the quiet girl in the background. She was present, seen, needed. When they returned to town later that evening, Lily noticed the way people looked at them together. Some stared openly, others whispered. The old insecurity tried to rise, but it didn't have the same power anymore. She remembered the ranch, the open land, the warmth of the fire. She remembered how she had laughed without fear. That night, standing alone in her room, Lily faced the mirror again. The same face looked back at her, but something had changed. Her eyes held a spark of curiosity, a hint of confidence she didn't recognize. She wasn't suddenly beautiful by the world's standards. But she was beginning to understand something far more important. Beauty, she realized, wasn't about being chosen by everyone. It was about being truly seen by the right person. And for the first time, Lily believed she might be worthy of that. Spring arrived slowly in Montana, melting the snow and revealing the land beneath. With the changing season came changes in Lily as well. She no longer moved through her days with the same hesitation. At the diner, she spoke more confidently with customers, laughed with coworkers, and no longer shrank when attention found her. People noticed, though few understood the reason. What they didn't see was the quiet support Ethan offered, never demanding, never controlling, simply present. Ethan invited Lily to the ranch more often as the weather warmed. She helped feed the horses, learned how to mend fences, and discovered a strength in herself she never knew existed. The work was tiring, but satisfying. Out in the open fields, Lily felt free from judgment. No one there expected her to be anything other than herself. The land didn't care how she looked, it responded only to effort and honesty. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sun dip below the hills, Lily shared a dream she had never spoken aloud. She loved baking. It was something she had learned from her mother years ago, a quiet joy she kept to herself. "I always wanted to do something with it," she said softly, "but it felt foolish to believe I could." Ethan turned to her with certainty in his voice. "It's not foolish to want more," he said. "It's foolish to let fear decide for you." Encouraged by his belief, Lily began baking after her shifts at the diner. She brought small batches to the ranch, nervous each time she asked for Ethan's opinion. He praised her honestly, offering suggestions but never doubt. Slowly, she started selling baked goods to a few neighbors. Word spread faster than she expected. The same town that once ignored her now asked for her pies, her bread, her cookies. Not everyone approved. Some whispered that she had changed, that she thought too highly of herself now. The old Lily would have believed them. But this time, she didn't. She had learned that confidence wasn't arrogance, it was self-respect. Ethan reminded her of that whenever doubt crept in. "You're not becoming someone else," he said. "You're becoming yourself." As her small business grew, Lily made a bold decision. She left her job at the diner. It terrified her, but it also felt right. Ethan helped her convert a small space on the ranch into a proper kitchen. Side by side, they worked late into the evenings, talking, laughing, building something together. It wasn't just a business, it was a future taking shape. One night, as they stood in the quiet kitchen, Lily realized something profound. Ethan hadn't changed her. He hadn't rescued her or rewritten her story. He had simply believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. And in that belief, Lily found the courage to step into the life she had always deserved. By early summer, the ranch felt different, fuller, brighter, alive with purpose. Lily's baking business had grown beyond what she ever imagined. Orders came in from neighboring towns, and the once quiet kitchen buzzed with warmth and steady work. Yet the greatest change wasn't the success itself, but the woman Lily had become. She no longer apologized for taking up space. She spoke with confidence, walked with ease, and carried herself with quiet pride. Ethan watched her transformation with admiration. He never claimed credit for it, though Lily often knew his faith had been the foundation. One evening, as they walked through the fields under a sky painted with orange and gold, Ethan stopped. He looked at Lily the way he always had, calm, steady, certain. "I didn't see beauty because you changed," he said. "I saw it because it was always there." Lily felt emotion rise in her chest. She remembered the girl who once believed she was invisible, the woman who accepted silence as her place in the world. That version of herself felt distant now, not erased but healed. When Ethan reached for her hand, she didn't hesitate. For once, she wasn't afraid of being chosen, or choosing back. The proposal came quietly, just like their love. No crowd, no grand display, just the open land, the wind moving gently through the grass, and Ethan kneeling with honest emotion in his eyes. Lily said yes with a smile that reflected peace, not surprise. She had known, in her heart, that love built on respect always finds its way. Their wedding was simple and heartfelt. Townspeople gathered at the ranch, many seeing Lily in a new light. Some looked surprised, others thoughtful. A few even ashamed. Lily noticed, but it no longer defined her. She stood tall, radiant in her own way, knowing she didn't need validation from those who once overlooked her. As the sun set, Ethan took Lily's hand and whispered, "I never gave you confidence." She smiled softly. "No," she replied. "You reminded me I already had it." Together, they understood the truth. Love doesn't create worth, it recognizes it. Years later, people in town would tell their story as if it were a simple romance. But Lily knew it was more than that. It was a story about being seen, about patience, about the courage to believe in yourself when the world tells you not to. In a place that once labeled her as plain, Lily built a life rooted in honesty, warmth, and quiet strength. And in the end, the beauty others missed became impossible to ignore. Not because it demanded attention, but because it finally had the space to shine.